Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Lord, thank you for every good and perfect gift you've given us. Lord, thank you for the 41,000 plus students that are in this district. Father God, keep your hand of protection on us as we make difficult decisions for the district. In your Son's name I pray, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome all to the special meeting to discuss the superintendent search and to provide updates. Before we start, I would remind you, as I already have, please silence your smartphones and other electronic devices. And at this time, I'm going to call on our communications director, Victor Monero, to begin the discussion. Mr. Monero.
Thank you, President Ramsey. Good afternoon to board members. And as you see in the audience, we have many of the advisory committee members that are present. Did remind them with an email yesterday about today's meeting. So I want to provide just a brief update of what has transpired and what will happen here in the near future so that board members are aware. As you can see at the top, advertising for the position of the superintendent was accomplished by McPherson and Jacobson. That was in the American Association of School Administrators online, the Shreveport Times of 2 runs, the Caddo Citizen of 2 placements, LASE, LSBA, the Shreveport Sun of 2 runs, the Ed Week print ad of June 5th, top school jobs of the Education Week online for 30 days. That position was advertised from May 13th to June 13th, which closed last Thursday. As far as the community input meetings, they were facilitated by McPherson and Jacobson. They were held from June 3rd through June 5th at Booker T. Washington, Huntington, North Caddo, Captain Shreve, Northwood, Southwood, Southport, and the board room. Additionally, there was an online survey that was advertised and was placed on our website until June 9th. So in summarizing today's meeting with McPherson and Jacobson, we do have Ms. Dunn and Mr. Gibson that are present today. They will review the community input from each group meeting. They will go over the interview questions, the interview procedures, the compensation package, and identifying school community group chairs. Also, in your calendar for next meeting is Tuesday, July 16th at 1 o'clock. And that particular meeting, we'll meet with the school community chairs, we'll review the candidates, select the finalists, finalize the interview schedule, and review questions. That following week will be the interviews of the week of July 22nd through 26th. So with that update, are there any questions to that update?
Let me add at this, excuse me, at this point in time, board members, on July the 3rd, you will receive a packet of the candidates, of the top, up to the top 10 candidates for you to begin reviewing and reading resumes and those type of things. And then, as he indicated, on the 16th, there will be a selection of the finalists. So just because some of you have already asked, well, when are we going to get candidates, a list of candidates? Well, July 3rd is the date that we'll receive a packet. Mr. Panero.
16th is at 1 o'clock. Following that will be a board meeting at 4:30.
Everyone get that, 1 o'clock?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
If there are no questions, I'll go ahead and introduce. I'm sorry, go ahead, Ms. Armstrong.
My question is in regards to the resumes. In years past, in other searches, we have kept the resumes in the conference room for us to come and read those resumes, make our notes. Now, are you telling us that we're getting those resumes in a packet?
You're getting just the resumes and
The
that
references.
type of information. You're not getting now the other information will be available at that. I guess at that point in time we can have that in the superintendent's conference room. But board members have already asked to make sure that they get a list and the information. So that's why we set it up that way.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. President.
Ms. Bell is on the board.
Okay, I'm
No,
sorry.
I'm not.
Maybe I need to clear it then.
Okay,
Let me clear the queue and then we'll start over. Mr. Hooks is on the board.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Mr. President, what I'm trying to hear from here, right, we're going to receive their packets, or we're pulling certain stuff out of the packets?
we're pulling the stuff out of the package, the resume.
Uh-huh.
And basically that's what you're going to receive is their resume, that information. Any of the other information we'll have in the board superintendent's conference room.
Okay, we asked for certain stuff on the resumes, or we got all of the information? I mean, you know, the when, the what, the social security, all this stuff, that's not on there. Okay, all right. Thank you.
But they're going to vet, screen, and give us the top 10. So we're only going to get, up to 10. Now, if they come back and tell us, you only have 8, then that's what we'll get. But we're asking for the top 10. Okay. Mr. Hooks.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was asked at one of the meetings, I believe it was the one here, will the public have a chance to meet the candidates and interview them? And I told them, yes, I want to make sure I told them the truth.
We'll have a meeting on July the 16th.
July
where we
16th.
will review the candidates and select them, and then we'll bring the candidates in, the finalists in, the following week, July 22nd.
22nd through 26th, depending on the number that
Yeah,
is
depending
selected
on
for
the
the
number of
finals.
candidates. But July 22nd through 26th has been set aside for that.
For the public? Okay. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Rowell?
How will we receive those resumes? Will they be mailed to us, or how will we get them?
Well, we should mail the packets. Or we could, if you want them emailed, we can do that too.
I will mail them to the point of contact, the resume, letters of reference, and the application. I'll mail that to the point of contact who will distribute those packets to each of the board members.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Bell?
Yeah, I'm on that. I'd like to ask a question that, you said we're gonna do 10, which is a great number. But if we get, who will select the 10? Our consultant?
There,
Okay.
yeah,
Does that mean you're gonna follow the guidelines that we asked?
right.
Okay, that's fine.
I'd like to say good afternoon. Okay, is there anyone else on the board? I'd like to say good afternoon and to tell you what a delight it is to serve you here in Caddo Parish. We were in your city 3 days, the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th, and we gathered very valuable information, some of which you will probably read tonight in your not bedtime reading. I'm going to ask Mr. Gibson if he will provide a copy of our report to you, and then we'll discuss a few of those items. those board members that are absent. As we came into your city, we asked those 4 questions. The good things about the community. What are the good things about the school district? What are the criteria and characteristics that you're looking for in your next superintendent? And what are the challenges that he or she will have to face? We have an executive summary, and that's what I'll cover at this point. In that executive summary will be reoccurring things from all of those groups. The good things about the community. It's a wonderful place to raise a family, and I think that's what every individual is looking for, a place to call home where they can raise their family. There's an affordable cost of living here and a great housing market. As all of us know, this is a great climate. We don't see harsh winters, but we see hot summers. It's very diverse in its makeup, and diverse when it comes to events, things that you want to do to attract you and your family. One plus is the higher educational opportunities. You have many colleges and universities here, place that you can continue your education. Friendly people who are willing to work together, and I don't think it gets any better than that. It's a medical hub. We have LSU, we'll have Willis-Knighton, Schumpert, and you can get excellent health care here in this city. Barksdale Air Force Base was good enough for the president, so it's good enough should be good enough for a superintendent. Caddo is centrally located. You have access to Dallas, Atlanta, Jackson, Little Rock. So it's centrally located, and you can get to the metropolitan areas very quickly. It has the advantages of large city opportunities, but it has the feel of a small hometown. And that, again, makes it a great place to raise your family. The good things about the school district. There are great opportunities for children. They have choices with the magnet schools, and there are a lot of options. Many of your students, as well as your teachers of the year, have come from Caddo Parish on a state level. State students of the year, state teachers of the year have come from Caddo Parish. 7 of the top 10 schools in the state are located here in Caddo Parish. That's something to tout. You have highly qualified teachers who go beyond the call of duty to make sure that children get their education, and that's what we're looking for. You have Barksdale and the cyber technology that's nearby. You have access to that. This area has potential to return to the top of the class in Louisiana as it once was. You have also supportive parents. Now, this is where we got most of the advice. The desirable qualities, criteria, qualification for the superintendent. And these were the reoccurring things. A local person who is familiar with the culture here and who is familiar with the culture of this region. Someone who clearly understands the role of the superintendent and the board's role. They want someone who they can see out in the community, out at the schools, in the ballparks, and at events. This person should have a proven track record of success in moving a district forward. A bridge builder between the school board, parents, and the community. He or she must be innovative and technologically savvy. Must understand the community. Must be a great communicator and a facilitator and a morale builder. Must be culturally sound and represent all demographics. Get to know people. Create alliances within the community. And bridge the gap of division that lies here. Must be a courageous leader, someone who's not afraid to make tough decisions. And a vested individual who is a taxpayer and a voter here. He or she must be empathetic and views the role of the superintendent as that of a challenge. Now the issues that plague the district. Fiscal matters. Must be someone who is able to take the budget and manage the financial aspects of this school district. Someone who's able to pull together the racial divide between the board and the community. There are technological needs that still are here in this district. One thing that we heard just over and over is the continuity in leadership. There have been too many superintendents here in the past that have short tenures. They want someone who will be with this district. There's board member control. Everyone needs to stay in their lane. Needs to bridges built between the corporate and the business relationships here in the city. There's a need for vocational, technical, and workforce skill opportunities for students. We need to stop changing the policies just because of local politics. Someone who can create equity among schools and look closely at the allocation of resources to these schools. One who can really generate more parental involvement and community involvement. Someone who will address the failing schools and develop a plan to do this. Someone who will revisit the organizational chart, reassess the central office needs, and reassess the whole school district. Someone who will talk and address the need for students who are unable to read. Someone who will look at getting teacher salaries up. And someone who will address discipline in the classroom. We also have listed in this document the results from the other meetings, and in the back we have the online survey that was reports that were presented. These were sort of categorized according to administrator, classified, student, parent, and so forth, and those are in the back. Those are unedited. The only thing that may have been removed were expletives and personal names. Okay? So, again, it was a wonderful time for us to spend in your community. We found that the people here are very cordial, and this is a great place to live. Do you have questions about the report? I charge you to read it in more detail later, okay? It's interesting. And now Mr. Gibson will come and talk about the interview question.
Mr. Monero, could you see to it that make copies of this and give to the advisory committee members just so they'll have a copy for their file?
Okay.
Thank you.
Good afternoon once again. It's a pleasure to be back in the community once again. And as Ms. Dunn said, she did a fine job in going through the executive summary on what took place at the stakeholder meetings. And they were quite enlightening. And by and large, the community cares about the schools here in the parish and want them to see and do as well as they can do. And the comments were very honest, sometimes brutally honest, but our charge was to record exactly what the community said in these stakeholder input meetings. I have before me some interview questions. There are some 50 questions, and I want to hand these out to the board, to each of you on the board, and I want you to circle or select 15 questions out of that 50, and then we will compile all of those and see what commonalities there are among you, and then we will come up with a list of interview questions for the prospective candidates. So I have those here, and I'll pass those out. As I said, 15 out of this 50, if you will, and that'll take you a little time to go through those and circle those, and then we will again get those back from you and compile those into a list of common questions that all of you have for these prospective candidates that will come in to the parish.
Excuse me, I have a question.
Yes.
Ms. Trammell is on the board.
My question is, Mr. President, I keep hearing the word community. I attended and sat in several of the input meetings that we had with the community with 20 or 25 people in each group, and we still refer to community. It sort of worried me a little bit because of the number of people that came to actual with input, and at some of the meetings there were the same people in those meetings that were at another meeting, that just rolled over and attended another meeting, and we used the term community. They were not, take what you get and go with that and determine.
Well, I believe it was advertised that these
Yes.
meetings, these stakeholder meetings, would be taking place. And again, sometimes you get what you get.
Okay.
And unfortunately, you always would like to have more participation in something that this monumental, for a community.
You would think that you would get more input.
You would think so. You would think so.
All right, I'm just rattling that in my head.
I understand.
Thank you.
Mr. Hooks.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, the questions that Mr. Gibson's talking about passing out, are those the same questions that you asked each board member? Okay.
Ms. Crawford.
Do you have a number of how many did the online surveys? Because that would have helped with the
124.
124. So that adds to, hopefully. It may have been the same people, but it might not have been. And then will the applicants be getting this booklet?
We
Because
ask that you provide it online so that the applicants can review it and see what they're challenging.
Well, good and bad. So they see if they are fit,
That's right.
personally, rather than just, oh, I want a job. Yeah. Yeah, okay. All right, thank you.
Any other questions before I hand these?
We have somebody in the audience. They don't get to it, sorry.
And you will be graded on this.
We gotta do it right this minute?
We would like to.
Do you plan for the advisory group to give input?
Do you have any additional copies of this?
Yes,
For that bathroom.
Advisory group members, raise your hand. Do you have that many copies?
Hold those hands up one more time. You'll get some more to us shortly. So we have 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, about a dozen more.
President Ramsey, do you want us to pick specific numbers from each classification or just that 15? Oh, okay. Thank you.
You might want to use a pencil with an eraser.
And many of these questions are probably some of the same ones that you all initially stated when we first came on some of the qualifications that you would be looking for in a prospective superintendent. We have booklets that Mr. Jones about to pass out that the ones that did not get the original questions, we can hand those to them.
A few more.
I might add, the first question and the last question are always asked, so you really don't have to circle the first one or the last one. If anyone's finished with their 15, I'll take it. Once the other two members are back, and then we'll move on with a couple of other instructions, and then we'll go to another item.
Why don't we just, let's go ahead and let's move on. Yeah. Let's go ahead and move on.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Again, these questions, the commonalities that we see in these interview questions will be compiled, and they will be sent to you all in the final package that you will receive. All right. Next, we want to talk about the superintendent's compensation, benefits, perks, and so forth. I take it that you all know what the current superintendent is making and what's in that contract. I don't want to assume, but is that so? Okay. Generally, in a superintendent's compensation and salary package in his or her contract, these are some of the items that you would generally see. Of course, the salary, and in many instances there may be a clause in the contract where the salary can go up, but it cannot go down. Then there's health insurance benefits, life insurance benefits, a pension and/or an annuity, vacation days exclusive of holidays, sick leave, in some instances personal leave days, a vehicle or vehicle allowance, a phone, travel expenses, membership fees in local, state, and national organizations, moving expenses, if that happens to be the case, temporary housing, if that happens to be the case, taking an annual physical exam. Then in some instances there may be a performance bonus based on test scores, graduation rates, financial conditions, a number of other items. And also in some instances there may be a longevity clause. If the superintendent stays in place for 5, 7, 10 years, or there may be a longevity bonus in some instances. So those are just some of the items that you would normally see in a superintendent's contract. Shortly less than a year ago, the Shreveport Times did an article on salaries here, and I believe it included about 8 different parishes in the area. And here's copies of those salaries from various parishes in this area, just for comparison. And prospective candidates, this would be one of the things that he or she would ask if they're not from the local area. Is it worth uprooting myself, my family, to move to this location based on what the compensation package includes? So, as you know, that would be vitally important. That article was dated July 8th of last year. It was on a Sunday, and it was entitled Super Salaries, in case anyone wants to reference that particular article.
You said Sundays?
Right, it was July 8th of last year.
Oh, wow.
And thank you. It may be, as was mentioned, it may be some disparities on the number of students, schools, and so forth, but that, again, is a board decision. Thank you.
Okay, now the interview procedures. Customarily, we try to encourage boards to meet with the candidate and the spouse in a social setting, a short social setting prior to getting ready to go into the in-depth interview session. So you probably need to be thinking how you want to do this and getting with your point of contact. Maybe you might want to have just an array of finger foods available here and then move into this area. Or if you want to do it on a grandiose scale, you can take them to another site that you think will be nice socially, as well as adequate enough to interview the candidate there. I'll ask that you kind of give your wishes to Mr. Minerio so that he can know and we can work that out for you. During the interview, it's very important that you put the individual at ease, and you just want to have a comfortable conversation with them about their abilities and why they should be the better person for this district. We ask that the president leads that process, and the president should start by the opening question, and we ask that you designate a question for each board member to ask, and that same question is asked of that same board member in every instance, whether it be 3, 4, or 5 finalists. It's important that you ask the same questions. If there's a need for follow-up questions, then you do so. Many times you may have a finalist that may answer your question before you get a chance to ask it. Then if that's the case, there's no need to ask it. But we want to make sure that you handle this process. This process is yours. And as Mr. Gibson said, those questions that are common, most common will be the ones that will be part of your packet. Are there any questions about the procedure now?
Mr. Riley.
Will this be a, this interview process, or will it be public, up to the public and everybody, or just the board?
That's up to the board. It's
What?
normally a closed session because that's your time with the candidate.
It'll be closed. And Mr. Minerio has, I mean, we've circulated a trial, I mean, a day. I think the schedule that we'll typically follow has already been provided. And, you know, we'll stick by that schedule, and I think everyone has it. And the advisory committee have a copy of the schedule as well. But okay, you'll cover that with them on the meeting that you're going to call. Okay.
One other thing I need to remind you about cost, airfare, hotel accommodations, and travel to get where he or she needs to get. So I just wanted to remind you of that.
Ms. Bell, you have a question?
Yes, I do. Okay, this from last time we did and we did have it closed, but then we have an open reception for the community and everything. Also, we was given a schedule. I think maybe 2 or 3 came in. We knew, I think they visited the school, whatever they did, then we met with them, and then the next. So it'll be something like that too.
Yes, that's going to be our next agenda item.
Okay.
Thank you,
Okay.
Ms. Bell. Anything else about the interview procedure?
Any question? No one's on the board.
Okay.
Board, do you have any other questions about the interview process? Okay.
Okay. Now we're moving on to the last agenda item, the interview schedule, the day that the candidate comes to town, how you want that styled. Normally, we get, our protocol calls for this, but you may decide that you want to do something a little bit different. We had assembled internal stakeholders. We had a teachers group, a principals and directors group, parent group, and a staff non-certified group that had a chance to meet with the candidate and to ask questions and give their input. The input does not rate the individual. It just tells the things that you liked about that person and the things that you were concerned about. However, you have assembled a committee, an advisory committee, and in what capacity do you want them to work? I've discussed with you, I think President Ramsey, that they need to meet with each candidate every day and be able to share their individual input as individual committee members. Okay? I know at this late date it may be difficult unless Mr. Monero feels that you can assemble internal stakeholders to meet with the finalists on that day, like a teacher group, as I said, staff group, and so on and so forth, if that's your desire. However, we've done it multiple ways. We've had forums where the community is invited, and we have a facilitator from our firm to fill the questions, ask the candidate, and get the responses, and that was facilitated by us. However, if you want us on site for the interviews, then it will be an additional cost. Okay? That's not part of our contract.
No. The advisory committee was formed with all of those thoughts in mind.
So
every aspect of the community, all the teachers' organizations, each district, and community organizations will be involved in that process. And Mr. Monero will be meeting with them in the near future with the advisory committee to appoint, get them to appoint a chair, a co-chair, or two co-chairs. And, to further, and I think that is critical for July 16th, where you will meet with the community chairs and as we review the candidates. Right.
Okay.
So, that much work has been done by us already.
You're telling me that the advisory committee is even more.
Right. The advisory committee will be.
Are you going to create any other opportunity for the general public? I think that's what you were asking, to meet in a reception or shake hands or this.
And I think typically sometime during the day we'll have some sort of reception here.
Okay.
And I don't have any of the schedules in front of me.
But you've answered me.
But yeah,
the advisory
there's a
committee will
timeline that starts at 7 or I'm having some issues here. 7 or 7:30 in the morning, and they will be very busy while they're here.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah.
And advisory committee will be given an input sheet every day, the same input sheet, and they will give their impressions of those candidates. Okay, that's simple.
And Mr. Monero will send out information that you want to cover. You want to send out information to the group.
Well, I think the question is, do you want one chair or co-chairs to give input to the board, or do you want individual responses from each advisory committee member just to give their input so that you can go ahead and look at the 25 overall picture? That if you want individual, then we don't need a co-chair or chairs.
Well, and I'm not necessarily hung up on that's what we've always done. But
okay, so you want the chair.
I think the board, y'all want to see all of the input from each. That would be something a little different, so we can do that, and then we're not going to have to be worried about a chair and a co-chair. We have Ms. Priest is on the board.
The reason I was saying a co-chair or a chair, they can select among themselves. There needs to be someone responsible.
Right.
And there needs to be someone who will get they will develop their own questions. They will develop their own questions. And
okay, let me interrupt you. Ms. Priest, she's on the board.
Thank you.
oh, okay.
Thank you. Thank you. I was going to say that what Mr. Ramsey stated earlier, that's why we have the appointments to this advisory committee. And that's the role, and they are the stakeholders in the community and represent all of the entities within Caddo Parish. The other thing is that I think we need structure and continuity. It has worked in the past with having a chair or two co-chairs or what have you, because these are the stakeholders to basically, I think, provide a more comprehensive, coordinated approach of the information and the input that's coming from the advisory committee when they hold their meetings. You know, they're going to have their meetings with and the chairs, and we're going to look to the chairs and the co-chairs to provide what that 17-member committee, or whatever the number is, that they are 25, that they are bringing to us. So I think that's, you know, that's it in a nutshell.
And Mr. Monero, just while we're on the topic of advisory committee, would you send that list to every board member so that they will be clear in their mind who all of these?
Okay.
Wonderful.
And I'll establish a meeting next week for them to select those either chair or co-chairs.
Yeah, and that was the original plan.
And they can the chair come out of the 12.
Ms. Bell.
Okay. Just to tell you that the last superintendent such, I was a co-chair for and we did exactly like Mr. Ram said. The co-chair, we had two co-chairs. I was one of them. And we did, we met, and it was busy, because 7:30 that morning we met. And I'm just saying that, okay? So whatever they say, the same thing. And then I'll say this too, you can like it or not. We have a person on the board, Mr. Ramsey. Not that that can give some input on it too. Says she, you got Ms. Tremaine. They know how to do it.
She will be right after Mr. Ryle.
Okay.
Thank you, President. Can you tell us how many total applicants we had?
Yes, sir. The magic number is 14.
How many?
14.
14, okay.
Yeah, we all just get them on.
Thank you.
Ms. Tremaine.
Mr. President and to the board, one of the things that we made certain of when selecting your advisory committee is that you select people that you feel they've got a stake in what we're trying to do in the educational arena, especially with selecting a superintendent. So in order to do that, we know that we build our confidence and we believe that they're going to put the best foot forward to make sure that we get the best person. We need leadership, which has already been explained by Ms. Priest, that person, the two chairs, and the reason that we do two chairs, we would do in alternate years of African American or Caucasian, but we decided that if you do the two, out of the 12 people that are selected by this board, they will get the chair and the two co-chairs. And that keeps down a lot of friction, especially if you got a leader, then you don't have to worry about it, because if you got a good lead, people will follow. So we get all of our input from that, and that's the way that we work to make sure that the body works. Those people will meet. They will talk to the people that are selected candidates. They bring back that input to us, how they feel about this candidate. This is what they see. That would be some of the qualifications. We've even received one time, please don't do this to us. You know, so we've had things to happen, but it's all in how we do it. I know you have different ways to do stuff, but it's been working pretty good. I know they might not feel that way. But this is something I want to say. Can I say something first? Something else? Okay, I got the floor. He said, you received a sheet with 17 years. You've got 9 superintendents. On an average, how many years would a superintendent serve in Caddo? Oh, less than 2, really? All right, so the overall look, what would you look at and say, what do you think would be the basic problem? Some people is saying it's a superintendent that you select that's the problem. Okay, I don't have to say anything else. All right, thank you all.
Ms. Crawley.
I noticed that my community person is not here, and they do not get email. We have a secretary. I need the secretary to call these community members, and they need to start way ahead of time. I mean, I don't know, mail letters to our community, whatever. We have to, and I believe that we always try. And my email keeps sending Caddo stuff to spam. Or Mr. Monero's. So email is not the all-in-all answer because of all kinds of problems. So, I mean, short of going and picking them up, do everything you can. Thank you.
There's no one else on the board. Mr. Monero, do you have any further? Just in summary, Mr. Monero will be notifying advisory committee members of a meeting. The primary purpose of the meeting will be to select their co-chair, chair, co-chair, however they choose to do it. And we will be anticipating information on 10 applicants July the 3rd. And then when we meet again on July 16th at 1 p.m., we will have our community chairs certainly in place and activated, and we will have opportunity to review candidates and select finalists, and we'll establish the interview schedule, which that will take place July 22nd. Then based on how many candidates we have. So be informed and stay informed, and we'll do our best to make sure everyone gets the message and the information. Mr. Mel, you have a final comment?
No, I just have a question. There are 14 candidates, right, that we have. Would it cost a lot to do all 14?
I don't think they've had opportunity to do any screening.
We haven't gone.
Oh, well, when you have a screening process. Oh, okay. You just got that number.
And
Yeah, you have to make sure they're all qualified.
Oh, you have to make sure they're
up
I
to
got
10.
you.
Okay.
I thought that was your process you'd already
Mr.
done.
President,
Thank you.
up to 10 or 10?
10.
Okay.
Yep.
My concern with setting a number in concrete or stone as 10, perhaps after they are vetted, there
Ms.
may not
Armstrong,
be 10.
I already told her that it may come back and tell us that there's only 8. I've already covered that.
Right.
Okay.
But I think the board, after your last comment, needs to understand that after they're vetted, there may not be 10.
Right. No one else on the board? We're adjourned.